Hey guys, Brad Danger here, and growing up, dream cars were never realistic. They were posters. They were the kind of cars you heard before you saw. Cars with doors that went up, prices that made no sense, and maintenance bills that could probably bankrupt a minor kingdom. A Lamborghini, a Ferrari, a Bugatti, something with enough horsepower to bend space-time, and enough curb appeal to make your neighbor accidentally walk into his own mailbox. But then you get older and something, somewhere, your first car payment, your first insurance quote, and your first time you realize that a set of tires costs more than your first apartment couch, your idea of a dream car, well, it changes. Not because you got boring, not because you gave up, but because your taste got better. Because a real dream car is not just something you fantasize about. A real dream car is something you can actually chase. Something that still makes your heart do a stand-up backflip every time you open the garage. Something that feels special every single time you start it. Something that is just irresponsible enough to be exciting, but not so irresponsible that it detonates your entire life. That is the ideal sweet spot. That is the magic, and this is where the realistic dream car absolutely lives. And honestly, I kind of love realistic dream cars more than the fantasy stuff, because the realistic dream car still has to do the thing. It still has to make you feel like a kid again. It still has to have sauce. It still has to have aura. It still has to make you take the long way home for absolutely no reason other than your monkey brain going, again, again, again. So today on Idealist, I want to talk about the actual dream cars, not the billionaire toys, not the garage queens that spend way more time on battery tenders than on the road. I mean the stuff that normal car people actually daydream about. Cars that you can find for the price of a boring crossover, a loaded commuter, or one brutally irresponsible financial decision that somehow still feels completely correct. And the first one on this list is one that I bought a few years ago, the Porsche 996 Heartthrob. Because, yes, I know, fried egg headlights, internet weirdness, purists acting like this thing personally ruined Christmas. I do not care. The 996 is still a 911. The silhouette still hits. The rear engine weirdness is still there. The steering still feels alive. And the best part is that it still carries that old school Porsche energy where even a base car feels like it has a little bit of menace in it. The 996 is one of the best examples of a realistic dream car because it gives you the badge, the shape, the driving experience, and the drama without demanding that you sell a kidney behind a Costco. Classic.com shows the Porsche 996 market with sales as low as $4,600. Now, obviously, before every Porsche guy in a fleece vest kicks down my front door, no, I am not saying every $4,600 996 is a good idea. That thing probably comes with stories. Dark stories. But the point is the floor exists. The dream has entered mortal territory, and if Porsche is your idea of a realistic dream, the Cayman deserves a seat at the same table. A first-generation Cayman S is one of the cleanest ways to buy into that Porsche feel without the full 911 tax. Mid-engine balance, gorgeous proportions, less baggage, less theater from the crowd, more confidence from the chassis. This is the kind of car that makes you look like you know what you're doing, even if you absolutely do not. Classic.com shows first-generation Cayman S manual sales as low as $8,387, with the overall 987.1 Cayman market dipping to $8,200. Then there is the Honda S2000. This car is basically proof that Honda once looked at the idea of making an ordinary roadster and said, what if we gave it the soul of a sport bike and the emotional stability of a raccoon on espresso? The S2000 is not fast by modern internet comment section standards. It is better than that. It is alive. It begs to be revved. It makes you work for it. It is tiny, twitchy, raw, and somehow still engineered with that Honda precision that makes everything feel mechanical in the best possible way. It is one of those cars that turns every on-ramp into a personal event, and the reason it is such a perfect, realistic dream car is because it still feels exotic without looking like it is trying too hard. You are not buying status. You are buying one of the purest driving experiences ever sold with a warranty booklet. Classic.com shows Honda S2000 sales as low as $6,600 overall, and the AP2 cars as low as $8,719. That is absurd. That is the kind of number that makes you stare at your daily driver and whisper, you know what, man, I do not think this is working out. Speaking of dumb good deals, the C5 Corvette is right there. If you grew up loving American performance, the C5 is like discovering your childhood hero. Now shops at the same grocery store as you. It is attainable, it is available, it is still cool, and underneath all the New Balance jokes is a genuinely great sports car. rear transaxle, big V8, tons of aftermarket, long hood, low seating position, pop-up headlights if you go earlier Corvette. This thing still looks like it wants trouble. And the best part is that a C5 still delivers that old school sports car fantasy in a package that is hilariously cheap compared to what you get. Classic.com shows C5 Corvette sales as low as $7,000. $7,000. That is not dream car money. That is, I got a little too confident on Facebook Marketplace after one cup of coffee money. And if the C5 is the entry point, the C6Z06 is the moment things get stupid in the best way. This is one of the all-time great realistic lunatic cars. Big naturally aspirated V8, manual only, wide body stance, serious performance. This is not a car that tries to hide what it is. It has one mission, and that mission is making you feel like a genius and an idiot at the exact same time. Classic.com shows C6Z06 sales as low as $26,000. That is a joke. That is a prank. That is performance per dollar so violent it should come with a waiver. Yo guys, quick pause because this is super important. The giveaway is live right now, and we're giving away this fully built, dripping in carbon Supra, 4 months in the making. And guys, it is the Tuner Hero spec, plus a Shelby GT350 with an exhaust that sounds absolutely ridiculous. So, if you want to win, you've got a decision to make. Do you get the JDM Legend, or do you get the American Icon? And guys, for a limited time, every purchase that you make on the site, which is pinned in the first comment down below, you get 2,000 bonus entries to win one of these cars, plus bonus cash, hat, shirt, entry pack, it don't matter. That's 2,000 extra chances on top. And Rocky from New York grabbed a quick entry pack last time and walked away with a GT-R plus bonus cash. So yeah, it definitely happens, and we're running it back with 2 cars. So which one you picking? Let me know in the comments down below, and go get entered as well, and good skill. Now let's get German for a second. The W204C63 Coupe is one of the best realistic dream cars ever built because it feels like the last era where Mercedes engineers were allowed to act like cartoon villains. Naturally aspirated 6.2-liter V8, wide fenders, angry face. It sounds like Thunder. If Thunder had a gym membership and a felony record, this is not subtle. This is not elegant in the quiet sense. This is elegant if your definition of elegance is a perfectly tailored suit wrapped around a fist fight, and that is why people love it. It feels special every single time. Every cold start is theater. Every tunnel is a religious experience. Every glance back after parking, it feels mandatory. Classic.com shows W204C63 Coupe sales as low as $13,000, which again, sounds fake, but that is the whole point of realistic dream cars. Sometimes the things you thought were impossible just quietly slide into range while everyone else is distracted by whatever giant touchscreen crossover just dropped. Another one that absolutely belongs here is the E46 M3, because this is the car for people who love driving and also enjoy pretending they are above hype while being deeply, spiritually, violently affected by hype. The E46 M3 is that perfect middle ground between old school BMW feel and modern enough performance to still matter. It looks right, it sounds right, the proportions are right, the whole thing just feels correct. And sure, the clean manual coupes have become the object of worship for every dude with a collection of driving gloves and opinions about hydraulic steering, but the floor is still way lower than the fantasy suggests. Classic.com shows E46 M3 sales as low as $7,055 overall, and manual coupe sales as low as $9,300. That is the kind of number that makes you start browsing listings when you should be answering emails. Then there is the Lotus Elise. The Elise. This car is for people who think comfort is suspicious. The Lotus Elise is one of the purest realistic dream cars ever because it gives you the kind of feedback, connection, and lightweight insanity that modern cars have spent the last 20 years trying to engineer back in with software. You do not drive an Elise. You wear it, you strap it on like a road-legal go-kart made by weird geniuses. Classic.com shows Series 2. Elise sales as low as $14,501. That is incredible. This is the kind of car that rewires your standards. After an Elise, everything else feels a little over-insulated, a little overfed, a little too eager to help. The Elise does not help. The Elise judges you, and that is part of the appeal. If your dream car needs a little more modern muscle, the BMW M2 absolutely deserves a mention. This thing is a proper little menace. Short wheelbase, big attitude, manual available, rear wheel drive. It feels like BMW accidentally remembered who they used to be for a minute and then slipped this thing out the back door before anybody in product planning could stop them. Classic.com shows F87 M2 sales as low as $21,000 and M2 competition sales as low as $26,000. That is strong, realistic dream car territory right there, because the M2 has enough presence to feel special, enough performance to feel serious, and enough everyday usability that you can actually live with it without feeling like you adopted an exotic animal. And now we need at least one car in this conversation that delivers full grand touring drama. That is where the Lexus LC500 comes in, because sometimes your realistic dream car is not about lap times or canyon carving or heel-toe downshifts that make you feel like a samurai. Sometimes your dream car is about beauty, occasion, noise. That sense that every drive, even to pick up cold brew and paper towels, deserves a cinematic soundtrack. The LC500 is gorgeous, not internet gorgeous, not nice for the segment gorgeous. I mean, genuinely, shockingly, stop and stare gorgeous. And then it backs it up with a real naturally aspirated V8 and an interior that feels like it was designed by people who still care about joy. Classic.com shows LC500 sales as low as $44,501. That is not cheap, but dream cars are not supposed to be cheap. They are supposed to be possible. And finally, for the people whose realistic dream still needs a little bit of supercar energy, there is the R35 GT-R. This is the car that broke everybody's brains when it came out. The giant killer, the PlayStation missile, the car that made exotic brands wake up in the middle of the night sweating, and even now, years later, it still has that same reputation. It still feels like a machine built to embarrass more expensive things. Classic.com shows R35 GT-R sales as low as $34,000 for the DBA R35 market, with the broader GT-R market showing sales as low as $26,500. Again, not every example at that floor is the one you want. Some of those cars have probably had a harder life than a shopping cart in a Walmart parking lot. But that is not the point. The point is that even a GT-R, a car that once felt like a total fantasy, has become a realistic target for normal obsessed people with patience, a plan, and maybe one or two questionable financial instincts. And that's what this whole thing is all about. Realistic dream cars are better than fantasy dream cars because they force you to get specific. They make you think about what you actually value. Do you want feedback or speed? Do you want noise or precision? Do you want beauty or brutality? Do you want something that you can daily, something that you can wrench on, something that you can grow with, or something that just makes you feel 10% cooler every time you look at it? Because the dream is not always the biggest, fastest, most expensive thing. Sometimes the dream is a clean S2000 with a screaming 4-cylinder and the top down on a cool evening. Sometimes it's a 996 you bought smart and learned to love before the rest of the world caught on. Sometimes it's a C5 Corvette that makes 8 cylinders feel like freedom again. And sometimes it's a nasty C63 coupe that sounds like it wants to fight the moon. And then sometimes it's the Elise that destroys your spine and rebuilds your soul. That's the stuff of beauty. The real dream car is the one that fits your life closely enough to actually happen, but still feels wild enough to stay a dream until the day that you finally get it. And when that day comes, you guys, when you finally park your realistic dream car in your driveway, I promise you this, it will not feel realistic at all. It will feel impossible. It's gonna feel like you're 14 again. And that's exactly why it's worth chasing. But you can also win your dream car by going to winthisIdealCar.com to get entered to win not only a Shelby GT350, but a Mark V Supra Plus bonus cash. I'm Brad Danger. Like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell as we're chasing 2 million subscribers. Check out some of these ideal vids over here and promise me one thing, keep living the ideal lifestyle. Chase that dream car.